Change. This train not taking passengers.
Hi everyone. Okay. Quick update. Jesus Christ. One day. Just one day. Yeah, I've spent the last, 2 hours. 2 hours or so sitting in the studio. Shit, I better make sure these aren't clipping. Hang on. Okay. I'm actually sort of feeling myself right now. Yeah, this is the last session that we had here. It was still a bit rushed, and we hadn't been in the studio for 4 or 5 months or whatever it was because of COVID. And I'd explained over the course of the last solo episodes that I spent a bit of money, wisely enough, I spent a bit of money on upgrades in here. So because a number of people have contacted me in regards to recording their own stuff here, and I obviously want to capitalize on that, but I can't have people coming in here thinking it's some sort of 2-bit operation. Wink, wink. Luckily, no one actually listens to this. They would pay money to use this place. So the con is still on. But it's sort of weird. I've had a few over the course of the last couple of weeks. Yeah, but I've had to produce my CV a few times, not necessarily because I'm looking for a job, but just people sort of ask, what do you do? What's your background? Blah blah blah. And it's come to me in my old age that I've actually done a few different things. A few things in a few pies and a few eggs in a few baskets. One of the things, obviously, that I've done is audio engineering. I actually paid money to go to a diploma. But again, I could have just spent the money on equipment and probably learnt the same amount of things. Nevertheless, one of the things that I did upgrade during our downtime was the sound panel, the audio panel that, you plug all, basically in layman's terms, it's where you plug all your mics into, and from there you generate the sound out and do whatever you want with it, basically. And, every time you see someone's studio, like a producer or some sort of hip hop artist or whatever, and they've always got heaps of wires and cables and panels and all types of shit. Like anyone worth their salt who knows what they're doing, that stuff is worth money and it makes a difference. But if you're a 2-bit operation like you are, as I am, really you just need the bare bones sort of stuff. And, it's not really that impressive. Like I look around, all the crap that I've accumulated over the last, say, 5-6 years, some of the stuff, I've had for over 2 decades. Like, I've got speakers here that I'm pretty sure were my uncles or godfathers or something, vintage speakers. I love them. I produced all my earlier stuff on the music. But, they're still here. I've got an audio switcher, which is basically just like this little thing with a knob that you plug in your feeds to, you probably have one. You have digital versions of them at home now, where you plug into a home theater system, and then you can switch between Blu-ray, and then you want to switch between that to a laptop or something that you got plugged in, or a USB and all that sort of shit. I've got one, and the reason why I've kept it is because I remember being in high school, and I had in my room a TV, and I had a computer, and I had obviously a PlayStation or whatever attached to that, and I had a VCR and DVD, then eventually a DVD player. And in order to get sound running through my computer, my stereo speakers, I would physically have to unplug these cables every single time and re-plug them in. So every time I wanted to work on music, I would have to unplug the cables from the back of the stereo and plug in, the computer speaker leads or whatever. And then, every time I wanted to watch a movie with sound coming out of my stereo, I would have to unplug, then re-plug. It was just I'd have to reach behind. I actually cut a hole in the back of my TV unit cabinet so I could easy access the cables. And it was a pain in the ass. You'd reach down there, your arm would be fishing around the back of the thing. Sometimes you'd knock speaker wires out, or, you'd rip your arm apart on the staples that were in the back of the unit, holding that cheap bit of chipboard sort of sheet, in. And, I've actually still got that thing, that sound panel. And I remember where I bought it. I bought it in Clayton. There was this, it wasn't a cash Cashies or anything. There was a Cashies, but it's not where I bought it from. I bought it from further up near the railway station. There was like some South Asians that were running like a, like a, I don't know what it was, man. It was like a cheap Cashies. There's about 5 of them in Clayton at one point. Funnily enough, the only people that were doing business. There's always brand new BMXs parked out the front. But, I bought it from there. And I remember debating with myself for about 2 years to buy it, because every time I think to buy it, I'd convince myself not to, because it was $20. I still remember that $20. $20, it was a $20 note. So when you're 15 or 16 or whatever, $20 back in 2000, that's a lot of money. And everything in Clayton always costs $20. Like that is forever. You want to buy a joint off someone, $20. Someone's stolen a jacket, it's all $20. Oh God, can't escape some of this shit. Nevertheless, so I still remember that was one of my first bits of audio equipment that I ever actually bought. That was more of a a need / want / going to make my life 100% easier. That I held out on. I held out on forever because I couldn't justify spending the $20 to buy it. And I've still got it here. And I've actually got a cable running from it. That's I can plug in an iPod, and ideally, once I set up the Mega Drive and maybe the PS2 that I've got and all these toys and gimmick shit that I've had from when I was a kid, that's what I've chosen to litter my studio with, because it's very, very professional. So yeah, I thought it'd be a crime not to actually do a solo podcast. We did one last week with John and Andy, and it was good to be back. Sort of dribbled on a bit. I know we go off tangents sometimes, especially with those boys, and if it's someone else in here that sort of keeps it on the straight and narrow, obviously it's going to go a bit better. But no, it was good. It was good seeing them. This is probably the longest I've spent in here since first moved in back in February. Where I'm not entirely hating my world, because I finally figured out a few things. Of course, the headphones that I had the big issue with when I did the move, they've stuffed up again, so that's always fun. But it's just this time, instead of taking it back, because I know it's not under warranty, this time I just grabbed the old electrical tape and it's fine. It's been a big week. Everyone's back out of lockdown. Today's actually Melbourne Cup Day. And Melbourne Cup Day for me is a sore point, not necessarily because of the horses and because I'm poor and can't afford to go to the races. I worked for 5-6 years. I worked in a job where we dealt specifically with the races in Victoria, and I went to many of these events, but never as a patron. I only went to as a patron. I think I maybe went to 3 races all up. It was always a Cox Plate, and now when I see the ads and I see all the the top 10 Muppets from over the years that have made asses of themselves at the races, it's become more and more apparent to me just how whitewashed those events are. It's honestly just an excuse for bogans to let their hair down, get dressed up in like a Tarakash suit, and head down and just drink, Yellow Glen and the nastiest booze in the world, because they're dropping all the money on. They're going for distance, By the way, I have no idea how this one's going to sound. I've been talking to myself for about 2 hours, and I thought, nah, stuff it. I'll actually need some proper dialogue. Rather than Melbourne Cup Day, was just a reminder that I've worked every Cup Day, bar maybe 1 or 2, and they were the last ones. And today, technically, I'm still working. I've got to actually get home and do some work. I can't just play around with this shit all day. I don't know. It's just a reminder of me working on public holidays. For the last 10 years, prior to my last 2 jobs, I worked every public holiday, every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, getting up at 3 a.m. to go to work on Cup Day or New Year's Day and all that sort of shit. I've still got PTSD. Like, I don't actually feel like I deserve a day off. I should be working, or I don't actually make plans because I don't expect to not be working. It's really, really strange. But that sort of stuff really sticks with you. As far as the Melbourne Cup goes, despite it being one of the oldest sports in the world, I really wouldn't call it a sport anymore. It's just a form of gambling. And that really was a sticking point with me with the Olympics, with the equestrian. It pisses me off. Like, how much how much reward does the horse actually get? I was thinking about it because they were waving on that dude. There was a jockey that was like 1,000 years old. He literally rode the first horse out of Noah's Ark and then did a bolt. And thus was born the first Kentucky Derby. Is it Derby or Derby? Anyway, yeah, I remember some old dude set some record at the Olympics for being the oldest Olympian or the oldest dude to compete in the equestrian or whatever the hell it was. And yeah, kudos to him. He could get out of bed without, what's it called? Popping a rivet on his hip. But yeah, I honestly thought about it. Okay, how much does the life of a horse, an Olympian horse, how much of their life actually changes? Like, does he get extra special feed? Like, I'm assuming they're not feeding him, pellets of grain because they've got to get him pumping with enough anabolic steroids to get him up and running. But does he have like nice quarters, or they just lump him into a barn like with the rest of them? Does his barn have heaters? Does he roam free? Like, I wouldn't imagine it. This is just me thinking abstractly right now. But that really bothered me, the fact that, yeah, all the praise is stuck on the jockey, but the jockey essentially just knows how to commandeer this wild beast who at any point could just buck him off and stomp the living shit out of him. I mean, there's your reminder of who's really in control. I think it's kind of unfair. Every time, a jockey goes underneath a horse, it's a tragedy. Horse comes down, breaks a leg, and they send him off to the glue factory. I mean, where's the reward? The jockey would get compensated for sure. I am well aware that I'm rambling. Yeah, these are the things that I think about. Makes no sense. I think, personally, I think these horse, because it's not the horse's fault. It's one thing to eat them out of survival. It's not, because we're not really eating horse in Melbourne, but it's one thing to sort of eat animals out at point of survival and die. It's another thing to, paint a number on them and hit them with a stick and force them to run for our own amusement. I mean, that's why we've got, Love Island. Oh, God, that atrocity. Fuck me dead, man. The amount of women that watch that shit saying that, it's entertaining and it's interesting and it's some sort of psychological assessment. Fuck right off. I watched about 4 minutes of the latest one, whatever they have. And it's literally just 20-somethings they're pumping with collagen and testosterone, just getting them naked and watching them fucking maul each other. If any of these people were friends of yours, you wouldn't have a fucking bar of it. I'm just overseeing it. Hopefully, the insanity, will subside. Common sense will prevail, and we'll go back to, watching reruns of Happy Days. Fuck. Nevertheless, who have I got this week? I've got to go through my backlog. I'm fucking flat out with work, so I'm just trying to think who we have coming in this week. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing an episode on Sunday. Not exactly sure how you guys want me to keep presenting these, because some people have said to me they want a bit of an introduction before each episode. Most of the time, I'm just fucking off and going straight home and just starting to edit, and I forget about it. And I guess I figure that most of the episodes are with me, Andy, and John, but it's going to vary it up a bit. Yeah. It's always nice to see more and more people sort of coming out of the woodwork and confessing that they listen to this shit. I don't know, it's such like a dirty habit. I don't understand. But then again, even I wouldn't listen to myself if I was someone else. It's hard enough listening to me. Back to the whole engineering thing. So when I said I've been feeling myself over this sort of thing, it's sort of been got into, real nitty gritty and started fucking with cables and unplugging stuff and feeling like I'm a real audio engineer. And one of the cool things I actually did figure out, well, I didn't figure out, but I actually applied, was the audio panel has got digital elements. So when you plug it into your computer, it brings up like a mixer board and all that sort of shit. And in the mixer board, you've got other audio engineering components like equalizers and compressors and all that sort of stuff. I actually manipulated some of these things to try and bump up the sound. It's quite impressive. Not really. It's impressive I haven't blown anything up. That's what's impressive. Any hoodly doodly. It is now 2:50, and I believe I'll probably get out of here. I think the race starts at 3:15, and I'm really going to be upset if I miss that. But yeah, no, it's been good. That's sort of weird. I'm in a weird place because like I'm obviously working my balls off. And I mentioned it on the last podcast that things are sort of starting to come to fruition, as in some of the investments I've made, and just I'm working like a moron, but it's actually for a means to an end. But sometimes like I regress and fall back into my own sort of habits, and I mean I've talked about this at length, just regards to mental health and depression, all that sort of shit, and it's a constant sort of thing. Like some people say to me, "How could you possibly have depression? Like what have you got to be depressed about?" I'm like, well, it goes beyond like things that happen that keep you sort of in a dark place or whatever. It's mental. It's a state of mind that you can't escape. Like some days you're isolating yourself in your head where you feel there is no hope. Everything's you're a failure. Everything, whatever it is. But like I'm starting to pat myself on the back and say, you know what, dickhead? Like you've done all right. As in you're doing all right. You're not where you want to be yet, but you're getting there, and it's getting better. But then like. What was it the other day? I was right. I've been on the motorbike a lot. I've been using it. I use it to commute now because it's just so much more cost effective. Just a lot easier. Parking is a nothing. Just park wherever the hell you want, really. And what was it? I told myself to make a note of it because it was important. And obviously that's not going to go well. Jesus, I've got a lot of bullshit notes in my phone. I don't even know what half of these things are. Legitimately, I try and make notes in my phone when I think of something that I want to bring up. And yeah, I have no idea what the hell it was. Oh, just things that pissed me off and why in this day and age. Two things that stuck in my head, especially one because I was on the motorbike. When you're on a motorbike, okay, men are egotistical, right? They are. They can't afford to be emasculated in any way. And one of the stupid ways that we express that masculinity is how fast we can drive a car off the line, like at the lights. I may have used to do it when I was younger. I used to drive my R31 and felt really fucking cool because I had a sort of mid-size sort of sports car with an engine that was too big for the body. But obviously as I get older, I haven't got time for it. I can't be bothered. My car's falling apart, and tires are expensive, and it's not my bag. But that's the one cool thing about having a motorbike. You can filter through traffic, always get ahead to the front of the pack and sort of take off, and it generally is quicker to get around, which is pretty cool. But other men don't like seeing dudes on motorbikes because they feel like they have to be the fastest for whatever reason. And it's happened a bunch of times. I'll get to the front and some nitwit next to me will fucking hammer it, coming off the line like he's got a point to prove. I nearly got wiped off the road by some dickhead trying to do it the other day. His back wheels started spinning, and I've just pulled the throttle back and just taken off. And I just looked at him and I must have been doing 75 on a 70k road. This clown has come flying from behind and just kept going, and then slammed his brakes at the next red lights because he hadn't realised how far ahead he'd gone. And I put up next to him, just shaking my head, like, really, dude, really? I'm pretty sure your missus still loves you. It's not the end of the world that a guy on a fucking tiny bike next to you took off quicker than you did. It's physics. I don't know, another dickhead, just beeped the shit out of me. I had pedestrians in front of me crossing the road, and the light went green, and this clown behind me just jumped on the horn. What are you going to do? Kill people so you can make it another 10 meters? I don't know. Fuck. Nevertheless, all right, I'm going to wrap because, this really was just a quick update. Please check out the latest episode. Sometimes I know I don't get time to post the episode what are they called? Production cards and all that sort of shit. So just, we're on Spotify now. I don't want to hear any more excuses. The amount of bitching that I used to hear, why aren't you on Spotify? Why aren't you on Spotify? Well, we're on Spotify now. So jump on Spotify, subscribe, get the notifications. Please, please share this shit. If you've listened to more than 2 episodes, 2 episodes. If you've listened to more than 2 episodes, you need to reshare this. I'm sorry. Because I don't spend more than 5 seconds listening to crap that I don't like listening to. Okay, and I'll correct myself on that. I listened to Hannah Gadsby's stand-up. We talked about it last week, and now with the whole Chappelle thing, I thought, you know what? I'm going to jump in again and just see what's so funny about Hannah Gadsby. And I'll be honest, it's got nothing to do with not speaking to me because I'm not a lesbian, or something like that. I understand what deprecating comedy is. I've built my whole foundations on it. But, half the time it's just, it really just wasn't funny. Like, I didn't get the joke. And I can get almost any humor. From toilet humor to Twisted to Black. You can make a Hitler joke and it's still funny. But I don't know. We've got a lot of work to do. Anyway, don't hate me for this one. But I'm liking the digs. I've got the aircon running and swaying in my chair, and it's nice. It's actually relaxing. I was looking around, and all this crap has really come together. Just to set it on fire and walk away. Anyway, I hope your nag wins in Melbourne Cup and you become a billionaire off a $3 bet, as everyone believes. And then if it doesn't go through, I'm sure you can blame Dan Andrews or someone else. Right. Smoke crack.
Hold up.